Bob Dutko, evangelical Christian talk show host and apologist, has tried to find evidence of scientific knowledge in the Bible, knowledge that couldn't have found its way into the text unless guided there by divine inspiration, proof that the Bible is true. Having covered a number of other assertions that have failed to support Dutko's claim, he believes another scientific fact can be found in a passage from Leviticus.
You know, it's interesting that back during the time the Bible was written, and certainly even after that, and even in medieval ages, nobody knew that blood is what life was actually carried in. Remember, they used to do bloodletting. If somebody was sick, let's drain some blood, because people didn't know that life was really in the blood. Yet Leviticus 17:11 says, "For the life of a creature is in the blood."
While this so-called proof is covered in Part 7 of the reply to another of Bob Dutko's Top 10 series, Proofs for God's Existence, it seemed to call out for further comment here. In Part 7, it was noted that if a person gets shot with an arrow or has his arm hacked off with a sword and all his blood drains out, he's going to die. One needn't require a god to point this out. It seems Dutko and all other apologists who try to find scientific marvels in the Bible seem to assume ancient people were incredibly simple-minded and not students of themselves or their environment. But nothing could be further from the truth. These people, while not having the tools of modern science, were still inquisitive, curious human beings who not only found a similar pleasure in studying nature as we do, but found such study absolutely crucial to their survival. So for them to recognize some of these facts about nature, for example, that loss of blood could mean the end of life, it needn't have come from divine inspiration. One shouldn't be so ready to discount the intelligence of ancient people as, apparently, the apologists do. Also, to equate the practice of bloodletting with an ignorance of the importance of blood in the human body is misinformed at best, deceptive and manipulative at worst. Where is the evidence that those practicing bloodletting believed blood wasn't important to life? Indeed, just the opposite was true. Ancients knew the importance of blood, and the practice of bloodletting reflected that reverence. Bloodletting was based on an ancient system of medicine in which blood and other bodily fluids were considered to be humors, whose proper balance maintained health. The four fluid substances of the body were blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Health depended on the proper balance of these so-called humors. Bloodletting was, therefore, a method used for adjusting these four bodily fluids to proper balance. This clinical concept led to the decline in a more ancient belief among physicians that evil spirits were the cause of disease, a primitive superstition which has depictions in the New Testament stories of Jesus casting out demons. So, historically speaking, bloodletting was a step away from this primitive belief in evil spirits causing disease and a step toward a more modern concept of natural causes. It was thought that blood carried the vital force of the body and was the seat of the soul. Body weakness and insanity were ascribed to a defect in this vital fluid. Sick patients were thought to have an imbalance of their humors, which bloodletting was thought to restore. Even the Talmudic authors themselves, steeped in the literature of Leviticus and the other books of the Hebrew Bible, laid out complex laws for bloodletting. The Talmud is a central text of Rabbinic Judaism, which contains the teachings and opinions of thousands of rabbis on a variety of subjects, including law, ethics, philosophy, customs, history, lore, and medicine, among many other topics. The Talmud is the basis for all codes of Jewish law and is much quoted in rabbinic literature. But beyond that, how could stating life is in the blood be an accurate scientific statement? What is the modern scientific definition of life? And remember, we aren't considering an ancient definition because Bob and his apologetic associates are asserting that these passages prefigured a modern scientific understanding of the world and the universe, not merely reflective of an ancient view. The modern definition of life is a distinctive characteristic of a living organism from a dead organism or non-living thing, as specifically distinguished by the capacity to grow, metabolize, respond to stimuli, adapt, and reproduce. This definition, of course, covers such things as humans and other animals, which of course have blood, but also extends to such organisms as plants and insects. Even bacteria and fungi are considered to be alive, scientifically speaking. And these other organisms distinctly do not have blood. Therefore, it is incorrect, again scientifically speaking, to say that life is in the blood, because there are many things, a great many things, which are alive that do not have blood. Funding for this program was provided in part by the generous contributions of viewers like you via Patreon. Consider joining them at www.patreon.com/Bible Skeptic. Thank you.